Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Amir Rizwan from Group 4. Will introduce about groundwater sampling project. So our field sampling equipment is stability meter, conductivity meter, benchtop multimeter, litmus paper and more. Kangkar Sengar, Parit Sulong, Batu Pahat have been living in village areas that do not have access to clean water due to the remoteness of the area. This is a picture of the location we entered, and there are arrows A and B. Arrow A shows the location of the tube well, and arrow B is the filtration system with talafia scale microcomposite absorbers. At tube well, the length of the pipe into the ground is 60 feet deep. The pump capacity for 1 minute equal to 20 liters. The water will be pumped through the inlet to the upper tank location B. At A, we call it untreated water sample. Field measurements need to be performed for rapidly changing parameters such as the pH value, the conductivity, and the dissolved oxygen content and the temperature. The DO test provide information about the condition of the wastewater for the operator to make process control decision. And then we go to the location B to collect the treated water sample. Water sample tank A are taken by group 2, tank B by group 3, and tank C by group 4.
50 ml of sample was poured into a 100 ml beakers. Next, the pH of the sample was measured using a pH meter. Then, sulfuric acid was added if the sample is alkaline, or sodium hydroxide if the sample was acidic. So, the amount of both acidic needed to neutralize 1000 ml of the sample was calculated. For BOD measurement, 6 unit of 300 ml BOD bottle was labeled separately. Next, the bottle was filled with dilution water completely. So the remaining bottle was placed in the incubator at 20 degrees Celsius and incubate for 5 days. First, pour 100 ml of sample into a 100 ml graduated mixing cylinder. 1 ml of calcium and magnesium indicator solution was used. The stopper was put on the mixing cylinder. The mixing cylinder was inverted several times to mix. Then 10 ml of the solution was poured into each of 3 square sample cells. 1 drop of 1 m EDTA solution was added to the first cell. Then 1 drop EGTA solution was added to the second cell. Swirl both to mix. The blank, the magnesium and calcium sample was inserted into the cell holder.
For the next procedure, let's move on to TDS. For the first step, prepare of evaporating dish. Ignite clean evaporating dish at 500 degrees Celsius for 1 hour in muffle furnace, and then store it in desiccator if needed. For the second step is stir sample with magnetic stirrer and pipette to measure volume onto a glass fiber with applied vacuum. For the third step is transfer total filtered with washing to a weigh evaporating dish and evaporated to dryness on a drying oven. Dry evaporated sample for at least 1 hour. Finally, record the reading. Start up with shake the water sample, thoroughly homogenize it. Pipette 5 ml of sample into weighted evaporating dish which has been cleaned and dried to a constant weight in an oven previously. Next, evaporate off the water on a steam bath at 100 degrees Celsius until dry, and then dry it in oven at 110 degrees Celsius. Cool the evaporating dish in a desiccator before weighing it and drying it repeated until constant weight obtained. Furthermore, total suspended solid procedure. For the first step, dry the filter paper in the oven at 103 degrees Celsius for 1 hour and cool in desiccator. Shake the water sample to ensure homogeneity and pipette 50 ml of water sample onto center weigh filter in a buncher funnel using a gentle suction. Carefully wash the filter paper with 10 ml of distilled water. Dry the filter at 100 degrees for 1 hour and cool in desiccator. Finally, weigh the filter paper and record the reading. Let's see for volatile suspended solid VSS procedure. For the first step, wrap the suspended solid from experiment in part 5.2 with aluminum foil and ignite it at 550 degrees Celsius in the muffle furnace for half an hour. Second one, cool in desiccator and weigh it. Repeat till a constant weight is obtained.
100 ml untreated water sample was poured in conical flask and acid was poured. 40 ml of sulfuric acid was poured in burette. 2 to 3 drops of phenol were added to the conical flask. When no pink turns out, it is titrated as A is equal to 0 ml. When pink color turned out, titrate until the pink color disappeared. With the same sample, 2 to 3 drops of methyl orange were added. When red color turned out, the titrate was recorded as B is equal to 0 ml. When it turns out yellow color, it is titrated until color changes to orange. The same process will apply to the green methyl orange indicator. For the total bacteria count lab test, 15 gram agar weight, 500 ml of distilled water was heated. Agar was added and the beaker was boiled for 15 minutes and left to cool down for 50 degrees Celsius. Sample preparation for the 6 tubes were labeled. 9.9 ml peptone water was transferred in test tube. Petri plates were labeled as pour plate and spread plate. For pour plate, 0.1 ml dilution was placed in the agar and poured left to solidify. For spread plate, agar was poured and left to solidify, then 0.1 ml dilution was added. Both spread plate and pour plate were untreated samples were sealed and incubated for 24 hours. Then the next day, the bacteria count was taken.
Okay, this time procedure for ammonium nitrogen is a 25 ml mixing graduated cylinder with a 25 ml mark was filled with the sample treated or untreated. So the next step is the ionized water in a 25 ml mixing graduated cylinder that was filled to the 25 ml indicated line was used to prepare the blend. Next, 3 drops of mineral stabilizer were added to each cylinder, the stopper, and was repeatedly reversed to mix. And then 3 drops of polyethylene alcohol was added to each cylinder, the stopper, and was repeatedly reversed to mix. And lastly, a 10 ml portion to each solution was added to square sample cell. The 3X0N ammonium test was used when the HDR6000 reactor was turned on. So the next procedure for chemical oxygen demand, firstly the sample was poured into a 250 ml beaker and stirred using a magnetic stir plate to increase the accuracy and reproducibility of the odor range. Next, a clean volumetric pipette was used to add 2 ml of the ionized water to a second vial that was held at 45 degree angle to prepare the blend preparation. Lastly, over a sink, the vial were held by the caps gently invert many times to combine. The DRB200 reactor protective cover was then closed once the vial were placed inside. The vial has been cooled for down for 2 hours and record the reading.